Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Brandon here along with Pete.
Yo!
And today, guys, we got to talk about Mitch Kupchak and the situation with him. So let's just get started with it. Of course, we know that Mitch Kupchak just got signed with the Hornets. Him and Michael Jordan are going to make the new tag team of the Hornets division. And the thing I'm really curious about this Hornets team, you know, it's always been mediocre. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. It's not a good thing either. It's more, like the term says, just in the middle, neither good nor bad. What do you think of this hiring from Michael Jordan? And what do you think you expect from Mitch Kupchak as GM?
Well, first of all, the Hornets are in a weird spot, right? Like what you said, the middle ground of like, they're not terrible, they're just mediocre, right?
Right.
But that, in today's landscape as an NBA team, that's almost the worst place to be because you're still you benefit from tanking in today's NBA. So not only can they really not tank because they have way too much money invested in some of these players, but they're just not good enough to win. So they're in the worst place in the NBA as far as I feel myself. But Mitch Kupchak, I think, is kind of a weird hiring. I don't know if I like it or not. I just don't know what he can do with the team. You know? Well, I would assume that their big thing, right, is going to be trading for cap space, first of all, in this offseason.
They're going to need it.
One, they do have a bright spot. Malik Monk has been really good lately. Like, he's looked really good when they've given him some time. But I would assume that they're going to try and do this tandem team of, like you said, Michael Jordan, Mitch Kupchak as kind of two very well-known people. Michael Jordan, obviously. Mitch Kupchak, just on the front office, is very well-known. So I would assume that you try and clear some cap space and then try and get superstars to come to Charlotte. Whether or not that's going to happen, I don't think so. I don't know why you would want to go play for Charlotte, other than the fact that it's Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. But if you know people who know Michael Jordan, you might not want to play for him anyway, right? So, I don't know. What do you think? Do you like it?
Like, I want to say I like it because if we remember, like, Mitch Kupchak and what he did in the front office, like, before the whole turmoil thing, he brought in some good players. He brought in Paul Gasol. Mm-hmm. He made that really cheese of a trade.
Yeah. Where
basically the Grizzlies got finessed. But, like, if we look at the roster as it was before this whole hiring became about, like, what has Mitch Kupchak... Like, is it one of those guys that, like, we kind of fondly remember as, like, oh, he was really good back then, maybe he could be good now. Maybe, like, in terms of, like, comparison, maybe John Gruden, for example. Because we don't know how John Gruden's going to be as a coach in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of the same thing with, like, Mitch Kupchak. Like, he obviously got fired because he did a really bad job with the Lakers towards the end. Sure. Even though, you know, he drafted some pretty good people in the bright spots and got Magic Johnson really to replace his team. But I think it was Magic Johnson's charisma and energy that is really what's bringing this Lakers revolution coming. Yeah. But with Mitch Kupchak, I'm just not sure what ties and strings he has to bring superstar players to this Charlotte Hornets roster, because if we look at their payroll right now, the highest guy is Dwight Howard with 23, Batum, who has been the essential mediocreness of all players, 22 million. Marvin Williams making 13, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist making 13, Cody Zeller making 12, and you have Kemba Walker making 12, your best player. So obviously I think what this does is you got to get rid of, obviously, Batum and Williams. I think those are two guys you have to get rid of. I'm just not sure what team wants to take on that cap hit.
I think Zeller, too, needs to go. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist you can kind of work with, right? Because he's decent enough on defense. But Batum and Marvin Williams are your two guys, right? Yeah. Dwight Howard only has one more year on his contract next year. So, this is going to go one of two ways. Mitch Kupchak is coming in, and he's already told Michael Jordan, there's no way to salvage this team for the next 2 years. We have to wait until these contracts expire. Or they have some general idea that they can trade these guys for picks or a superstar, right? Which goes back, if you haven't watched our Kawhi video of possible trade destinations, I said Charlotte was a really good fit. This might honestly be kind of one of those moments, right? Where you bring in a superstar kind of level GM, right? As far as notoriety. And you have Michael Jordan, and maybe Michael Jordan is like, Mitch Kupchak, go out there and work your magic. Bring in Kawhi Leonard. That's what I want on this team. Or bring me a superstar in return for Kemba Walker and clear out some of this cap space.
Yeah. See, this is the thing that just like upsets me with this whole Hornets team. I think they've been doing it the right way in terms of, you know, not really tanking as bad. Like, they've done it the way that I think a bad team should do it, you know, win the games that they need to. But at the same time, it's just like when they do get in those situations where they have to draft high, they just don't produce, other than really, I can't even think of who they really pick really well.
Honestly, I mean, Malik Monk is up for debate, right?
Yeah.
But Kemba Walker is their last good one. Frank Kaminsky is not good.
Frank Kaminsky. You also have Cody Zeller, who was a top 5 pick.
Not good.
Not good at all. And
Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, 2nd pick overall.
Yeah, so it just goes to show you that this team needs, like, I think more than just a Mitch Kupchak to really revitalize the team. Unless what they're doing is like a rebuild for the future, then I have no faith in this team to make the playoffs in the next couple of years, because not only because I don't think they can attract people to Charlotte, it's because they also don't have the cap space with all these big contracts that we're seeing here.
It's pretty tough. Yeah, and back to your point, you said that they do it right as far where they're at, right? The way that bad teams should do it. And I do agree to some extent that it's like a weird moral dilemma, right? Where they're kind of doing it the right way morally, where they're not trying to just lose. Like, they actually do want to win games. But they did it poor as far as business, because team-wise, they were like one of the biggest culprits of that crazy off-season free agency market where they overpaid everybody that year. Yeah. And like Batum got $130 million or something like crazy. Marvin Williams got a crazy deal. They re-signed Kidd-Gilchrist, a crazy deal for him too. So yes and no, but I do think that Mitch Kupchak, regardless if he does a good job, it's a good choice just for the culture of Charlotte. Right. So whether or not he ends up being the key, I think the most realistic outcome is that in their hiring discussions, interviews, so to say, Mitch Kupchak was like, this team is going to be bad for 2 years, but just let me do my thing for a couple of years and I'll get you some people.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about them is that most of their bad contracts, except for the Batum one, because my lord, I don't know how.
What was that? Like a 7 year?
I don't know. I honestly don't know how you get out of this one. You have to be the finesse god to get out of this deal with Batum. But you know, they get rid of Dwight Howard in 2018, 2019. You could probably get rid of Marvin Williams' contract. I'm assuming someone would pay for it. I'm assuming. So you could get him off the books, and then maybe Mitch Kupchak is working for that 2019 free agency class.
I think the only way they can get rid of Batum, right, in a deal that's worthwhile, is to package him with Kemba in their first round pick for something good in return. Whether or not anybody wants that, because you kind of offset the good contract of Kemba, obviously, with just the nightmare that is Batum.
And that's a player option in 2021.
For $27 million.
He's obviously going to accept that.
Like, honest, and I don't actually even think Batum is the worst player. Like, he's not that bad.
No.
And in today's NBA, he's very valuable. But is he $100+ million valuable? Not even half of that. So it's probably the worst contract in the NBA.
It's up there with like one of the worst ones. To me, like, I know this has gone on from like a Mitch Kupchak talk to like a Nicholas Batum.
Just the Charlotte Hornets in general.
Yeah, it's just this. Like, I don't understand like what you were thinking. Like Nicholas Batum, I don't know what Jordan was thinking. Like, is he supposed to be like the next like superstar player?
I think they were just expecting the cap space to keep going up. They just bit so hard, like a lot of teams did.
They did the same thing that they did in like the housing market.
They bit, and they're suffering the consequences. That was that market, you know?
But to me, like, just thinking about it, they paid him that much, and when you pay someone that much, you expect them to be like a second or third option superstar. Like, not even just regular player, superstar.
But I think that's the crazy thing about that offseason, is people were getting paid like that, and there was no expectation that Batum was going to be superstar level. I mean, Mozgov got paid like $20 million, too. They weren't expecting him to go there and be a earth-shattering talent.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But the thing, Mitch Kupchak better come in and work some magic too, because Kemba was up on the market. They made it clear that he was. So, and there's been stories that he's not happy. Like, he's your best player by far.
And I'm assuming, the Knicks will probably try and make a play for him if they can.
Maybe. There's a lot of teams that want him.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Hornets do from here. They're obviously in a top spot now. They're obviously going to get either the 10th or 11th pick in this draft upcoming that I'm foreseeing. I just hope that whoever they draft, like Mitch Kupchak does his homework on him. Mm-hmm. Because, we've seen the certain deals that he's had before. Obviously, the Mozgov deal. The Luol Deng, even though I don't think... Did they pay for Luol Deng? Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they're still paying for it.
They're still paying for it.
Very much so.
So I think the punishment for this is Nicholas Batum.
It's just, yeah.
And to get Luol Deng over to
Luol
Charlotte.
Deng is probably the worst contract in the NBA. Batum is still productive somewhat. So, yeah, but... I don't know. If there's any Charlotte fans watching this video, let us know what you think, what you want them to do. There's really there's no middle ground to this, right? It's one of two ways. You're either going to try and be absolutely terrible next year and really tank it up, or Mitch Kupchak is going to come in and try and work some magic with this roster and flip a lot of these pieces.
Yeah.
Because this could be, under the right set of circumstances in the right trade market, they could really do a poor man's Celtics trade overhaul roster type scenario, right? Because they do have some valuable pieces, and they were trying to trade Malik Monk at the trade deadline. Whether or not they've enjoyed his uptick in quality that much to keep him, I wouldn't be surprised if they do want to keep him now. But they still might trade him, and he's definitely got value. So they have pieces. They got Kemba, first round pick, Malik Monk, amongst other things. So let us know what you guys think about Charlotte. What do you want Mitch Kupchak to do?
Yeah, before we end the video, I just want to say this real quick. Just the history between these two guys, Mitch Kupchak and Michael Jordan, stems back from their Carolina days. Mm-hmm. They have ties to North Carolina and also the late Dean Smith. So just, that's the history. Let's see if that, chemistry can kind of rub off and create a better team.
Yeah, maybe Michael Jordan, one of the worst GMs of all time, will trust Mitch Kupchak to do his job. It might actually be a very good thing for Charlotte. We'll see, though.